The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
I'm horror author T. Fox Dunham.
And I'm horror author and filmmaker Phil Thomas.
And tonight we're asking you...
What are you afraid of?
Ho, ho.
With John Foster.
This is T. the Fox Dunham.
T. the Fox Dunham. This is Phil Thomas.
Philly and Fox.
Yeah, there you go, Philly and Fox.
We are Foxy and Philly. We are back on What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show. It's been several weeks.
It's been quite a while.
Our last show was in October.
Yes, it was.
That first week.
Yeah.
We were down in Cape May.
Great time.
That last spring weekend.
Oh, that was so nice, wasn't it?
I can still see the dolphins from the balcony.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
It was a fun trip, exhausting but fun, and we had a great time.
And you were staying in a nice place.
Oh, God, they gave us that beautiful suite.
Yeah.
They calmed Allison and I, and just, years of doing this show and annoying my wife with it and paying money on incidental expenses, and then it all comes back to you when they comp you like $600 worth of, and all the free tickets we've gotten.
Right.
Too, which I'm sure we will keep doing next year.
Right.
But we're back. This is episode 132, Yuletide Monsters.
Ooh, I love it.
Because it really is the time for monsters.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
There's a lot of stress this time of year.
Krampus and
Beelschnickel. Das Beelschnickel. I love that. I've been saying the name for two days now, Beelschnickel.
Yeah.
But we are back with our special holiday episode. We're kind of taking a break. I'm moving.
Yeah.
Kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And dealing with some other stuff, and so we needed a little rest, but we're back with our special holiday episode because we are here with an old friend. Now, John C. Foster was born in Sleepy Hollow, New York, a fact that I'm sure he promotes a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It is our
That's a cool fact.
Yes. He's been afraid of the dark for as long as he can remember. So there's the question answered. What are you afraid of? He's afraid of the dark.
There you go.
His most recent novel, The Isle, grew out of his love for New England, where he spent his childhood. He is the author of 3 previous novels, Dead Man, Night Roads, and Mr. White. It was Mr. White. And 1 collection of short stories, Baby Powder and Other Terrifying Substances. His stories have appeared in magazines and anthologies, including The 7 Deadliest, Dark Moon Digest, Strange Aeons, Death's Realm, and Lost Films, among others. He lives in Brooklyn with the actress Linda Jones and their dog Coraline, basically his boss.
Yeah, there you go.
For more information, please visit www.johnfosterfiction.com, which we'll have up on the website at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com. Happy holidays, Mr. Foster. Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be back.
He's always been with us in our previous Christmas episode.
It's like a tradition.
Yeah, it is. Remember we had that party at the house that one year?
Yeah, I remember that.
And I baked all those cookies.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wait,
was
I have
fun.
a question before we go on further. Do I have to call you the Fox?
Well, yeah. You mean you don't already?
I usually just go with Sir.
Yes, right. Good. No, the Fox is fine. We kind of know each other. Either the Fox, the Awesome Fox, or Foxy and Philly's good.
Yeah. Is that your new official pen name, the Fox? It's
The Fox.
No longer T. Fox Dunham, it's just the Fox?
I have considered taking the T out of my name as I've grown as an author.
Okay. Yeah.
But the T's pretentious, and I love pretension.
Phil, is he within arm's reach of you?
Yeah, he's like a foot away, yeah.
I feel like
Okay, just
something's
in case
coming.
you need to take a swing.
Okay. Well, for no reason, I'm just going to move over.
Okay, yeah.
I thought you said take a swig. I was like, I'm all for that.
You are swigging, yeah.
Yeah. A
Is
little
that,
tea.
is that virgin tea or is something in there?
No, there's nothing in this. No, not right now. Especially not with moving.
No,
I think we're moving to Lancaster.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
You're
got it.
hanging out with the Amish.
Yeah, they're there. You see
They
them.
are there, yeah.
You see the real horsepower.
Yeah, literally.
Real.
Yeah.
Real horsepower. But we are up here on episode 132, Yuletide Monsters. How are you, John?
I'm doing great. It was a year of just head down and working with a lot of exciting news right at the end of the year. So it's been a fun December.
And you had some excellent news this year, working with an old friend of ours, Anthony Riviera, Big Tony River of Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Over at Grey Matter Press. Could you tell us what's happening there?
Yes, I'm very excited. Tony is he's published a couple of books of mine, but this is my first straight up crime novel, not speculative fiction at all. It's called Rooster, and Tony is going to publish it, and it will come out in 2020, date TBD.
Date
Nice.
TBD. That's an awesome date.
Yes. To be determined, yeah.
No, that's
great.
cool. Congratulations. I just saw that today. I'm like, we have to announce it
Nice.
on the show.
And it's called Rooster.
It's called Rooster, yes.
And would you like to explain what it is, what it's about?
Yeah, just briefly, it's a former hitman who's sort of at the end of his career. He goes out on a job, and it turns out it's a setup, and he finds himself on the run with every organized crime outfit in the country on him.
Wow.
And he has to try to survive long enough to find out why they're after him and who's behind it all.
That sounds
Oh,
great.
that sounds like a great thriller.
It does.
A great, compelling story. It's action-packed and thrilling. And he's going to be played by the ghost of John Wayne. Rooster Cogburn, if I always think of... That was a great film.
Oh, yeah.
Great film.
I love the Duke.
The Duke.
Who doesn't love the Duke?
Yeah, the Duke. So we are back on episode 132, wishing all of our fans happy holidays, whatever you celebrate. And of course, I'll be celebrating Yule this year, along with many traditions that we've incorporated and we'll be celebrating from the new apartment. That's one of the reasons I'm pushing to get out there early, is because we want to get our own little tree and have our own little Christmas in the house.
Nice.
Before Allison starts work at RKL in Lancaster.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, so that it'll be fun. And I have to go out there and put some shelves up and unpack and stuff. But before we get going with Mr. Foster and celebrating the holiday this year, we have a story. Now, this happened to us in Cape May. The beach special was rather popular. It's done very well online. I keep being told we listened to it a few times, we loved it. But what people don't realize is they're missing about 20 minutes. Because towards the end of the show, we didn't know this. Fortunately, I was keeping my eye on the sound levels. Our microphones died.
Yeah, at the same time.
Not just one microphone, but both microphones with different charge levels, different batteries, and everything. They both went off.
Yep.
And this is a common thing that happens in paranormal situations with batteries draining for no reason. Now, normally our batteries last 3 months.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah.
And they were brand new. We just put them in.
We just put them in. There's no way they should have died that quick.
Not at all.
No way.
And that's something we've heard from other paranormal investigators who've gone into the Marquis De Lafayette, was that their equipment died. So I wrote it up as a ghost story, and David Walton, our wonderful, beloved British folk singer, recorded the ghost story. It's called Dead Microphone on What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show on Pararex Radio at Friday nights at 9 p.m. And find our website at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com. We'll be right back with John Foster on episode 132, Yuletide Monsters.
The Dead Microphone. Experienced and written by T. Fox Dunham at the Marquis De Lafayette Hotel in Cape May, New Jersey, in October 2019. Read by David Walton. Often in stories told to us by paranormal investigators, we hear about strange battery issues, power being drained from batteries and devices such as cameras and recorders. Investigators talk about having all sorts of electrical issues, and of course in many stories we hear about flickering lights, dying bulbs, and mobile phones dying just after being charged. Well, while recording the Halloween episode of What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show at Marquis De Lafayette Hotel in Cape May, New Jersey, We experienced one such illogical power drain. We spent the first hour setting up, and of course there were several bugs that had to be worked out as we calibrated our sound levels and prepared to do the show on location in haunted Cape May. Phil and I both have H1 self-powered microphones, though he has an advanced model with far more bells and whistles. I'd forgotten, not having done this in a year, that while hooked up to the soundboard, the microphones needed to be powered by batteries. I discovered my microphone dead, and of course I worried about having no microphones for the show. Fortunately, Phil had gotten fresh batteries for his microphone and had a few extra in his bag. I felt relieved, and we moved forward setting up the software to broadcast a video and audio signal. The show progressed as I planned, and we were going to do one last dialogue segment before closing the show at the 2-hour mark. Fortunately, I worried enough to keep checking the sound quality on the LEDs on the board and through the software. Several minutes into our dialogue, I noticed that the mic lights or indicator no longer lit up. I realised that the microphones were failing to transmit. I paused the show and diagnosed the problem. It felt bizarre to me that both microphones had failed at the same time, so I thought it was a problem with the board. However, I could find nothing wrong. It had to be the batteries in the microphones, though they were recently built new. According to the sound file, both microphones had died at the same time. It was strange enough that new batteries would die that soon, and even stranger that two different devices with two different power draws deplete their batteries at the same time. Odder still, my microphone came back on. The battery still had power. So why had it switched off? With the remaining power, we quickly ended a great episode of Cape May ghost stories. It was only later, as we were packing up, that we recalled all the stories I'd heard about paranormal investigators having their batteries drained before or during an investigation. Phil had suffered the same issue during some time in a haunted house. If one of our microphones had died, I wouldn't have blamed ghosts, but both dying at the same time with new batteries struck a supernatural nerve. We'd been hearing about the spirits haunting the Marquis De Lafayette for weeks. Had they decided to make themselves known with a little mischief? Some sabotage of our show? I'm grateful they picked the last 15 minutes. Perhaps they didn't like being talked about so much. Well, it was an incredible show and an incredible Halloween in Cape May, New Jersey.
The dead demand to be heard, and on What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show, Philadelphia's horror home, we listen.
New, true ghost stories every episode. Interviews with paranormal investigators. There is no supernatural.
The natural world is just far greater than we can perceive. More information and expanded content at www.whatareyoufraidofpodcast.com.
And follow us on Twitter at PFWhatAfraidOf. Find us on all major podcast services including iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify, iHeartRadio, or listen to us Fridays at 9 p.m. on the ParaX Radio Network.
I'm horror author T. Fox Dunham.
I'm horror author and filmmaker Phil Thomas.
So what are you afraid of?
If you like what you hear, leave us a review on your preferred podcast service.
What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show.
Speak to the dead.
Para-X.
Hi, I'm David Walton, and I drop whatever I'm doing to read whatever Fox and Phil demand of me. My digital, as opposed to ectoplasmic alter ego, is called Brendan Shawland, who regularly plays guitar and sings in a virtual world. Brendan has a website, David doesn't. Bandcamp sales figures would suggest that Brendan's music is decidedly niche. If you want to be in the vanguard of support as Brendan heads towards global domination, just put Brendan Shawland in your favourite search engine, and you'll find his website very close to the top. You'll see what the human looks like, and you can check out the Listen to a Song page to access Brendan's unwillingly private world of creative output.
Back. What are you afraid of?
We are back.
We are back. Have the Krampus knocked?
That's right. Is Montana Jordan still...
Oh, she has incredible news.
Okay.
Oh, she's getting her own show.
She's getting her own show?
She's going to be on the Travel Channel.
Really?
Yeah, with Paranormal Investigators, yeah.
Really?
So we have another in.
That's great.
Yeah, she wants to come back on.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I was talking to her about New Year's coming back on, but she's going to be on telly.
What's her show?
I have to find the information. I want to do it properly.
Yeah, right.
But we're going to have it up at the website at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com. Our dear old Montana's been with us for years.
Oh, yeah.
She married the Krampus.
Well, that's what I was asking about. Are they still married? Did they get divorced? Or what's going on there? Remember?
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out. Because, Krampus is all year round.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
It really is.
They're together all year round.
They are. Yeah. They are crazy. But we're back with John Foster. How you doing, Mr. Foster?
I'm doing wonderful. It's great to be here.
Okay, so we are talking about Christmas monsters, which is something that should be talked about more. Now, Christmas is a very stressful time, really, if you do it wrong, I think.
Right.
But, of course, you have the expectations that people put on you, too, which can be a tough, something I've been showing Allison is how to create your own holiday and celebrate the things you love about it, because you need to sort of decorate time.
Yeah.
And that's what holidays really do for us. They get us through the dark night. So, do you have any favorite Christmas monsters, guys, that go back in history?
I watch horror Christmas movies, like Black Christmas, and things like that. But there's nothing supernatural or anything. It's a serial killer. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Mary Louise, and this is a Welsh tradition going back. She rises from the dead, and she wanders the streets on a sort of skeletal mare. She's a zombie. So this is our Christmas zombie, our.
Oh, I know this one.
Yes.
Doesn't she bust into houses or something?
Yeah, she busts into houses, and if you don't answer her riddles, she sends in her zombie horse, and you have to engage in this battle of riddles with her, and you have to rhyme. And it can actually happen in Christmas or New Year's. And if you don't win, she sends in her horse with a skull on a stick and basically wrecks your house.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so it's a great little story. I mean, it's something you don't really hear about a lot.
Yeah, I've never actually heard of it.
And of course, I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
Well, I was just going to say it's interesting that even the seemingly more comical Christmas monsters, as with so many things connected to fairy or that sort of older pagan time, have a very dark underside. And there's the genuine terror of that creature. But in Iceland, you have the Yule lads, which are 13 trolls, and they're kind of silly. They're more pranksters. And they have names the English names like Sausage Swiper and Spoon Licker and the Door Slammer. And it's all kind of comical. Except their mother is an ogress named Growler, and she kidnaps children.
Right, she does. And
goodness.
Yeah, right. This is dark stuff.
Yeah,
it was all about convincing kids to be good.
Right.
And that's what it really comes down to. Of course, a tradition that has gone on to Santa Claus himself. There's the legend of Pierre Foutard. He comes around 1150. And he lured a trio of young boys into his butcher shop so he can rob them, he and his wife. He slits their throats. He butchers the kids, puts their meat into a barrel, right? Yeah. And then when Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, finds out, he brings the boys back to life, and then he forces this butcher into being his sort of servant forever. And those who are good, Santa rewards, and those who are bad, he sends Pierre Foutard to give them coals and flog them.
Oh, God.
There's a lot of beating during the Christmas holiday.
Lots of beating.
A lot of beating and whipping and sausage licking, apparently.
Well, and actually in Germany, they had one that was worse, Frau Perkta, who cuts open children and stuffs their bellies with straw
Oh, God.
And she operates during the 12 days of Christmas, ending on January 6th.
Devilish and horrible.
Yes, it is. Cool. Yeah, there's Straggle. In many places, like Switzerland, Perchta rides with a throng of demonic-looking helpers known as Stragula, who love to partake of the feast offerings left out for them on Christmas by people, just hoping for Perchta's blessings of wealth and health in the new year. And in some places, Stragula get to dole out the punishments themselves and are terribly discerning as they rob all bad children and tear them to pieces. In the air.
Pieces?
Not just in pieces, but in pieces in the air.
Air. Okay.
It's horrible.
This is, God, I mean...
I love it.
It is really fun.
Yeah.
This is so much better than regular Christmas.
It is. This is What Are You Afraid of Christmas?
Right.
Of course, this is What Are You Afraid of Horror and Paranormal Show, episode 132, Yuletide Monsters. We are here with John Foster. Now, Hans Trapp, he hands out punishment to bad children, and this is around France, the Lorraine-Alsace area. He was a rich and greedy man, an evil man. Well, modern legends say he worshipped the devil, but we can probably just assume he was worshipping evil. He was excommunicated by the Catholic Church, exiled into a forest where he preyed upon children, and he disguised himself as a scarecrow, and straw falls from his clothes as he runs after children. He eats the boys he captures. Yeah, and when he was eating one, he was struck by lightning and killed as a punishment from God. Now, apparently, he's been resurrected. A lot of resurrecting happens here. Santa Claus can resurrect boys in butcher shops, so that's good. Christmas miracle of it.
I was really hoping the butcher shop thing was going to turn into meat pies. I mean, we get a little Sweeney Todd vibe.
Yeah, the old the stories of accidentally eating human meat.
Yeah.
As a Gaius. But so he eats young children before Christmas dressed as a scarecrow to scare them into good behavior, though eating them doesn't. I guess he visits them and threatens to eat them. that dear old fellow. Now, where I'm going, we have the legend of the Baalschnickel. This is in Pennsylvania Dutch and German communities, because I'm heading out to Lancaster. He shows up a couple weeks before Christmas, filthy and dressed in rags and furs, and he beats children again with the beating. In 1872, a Philadelphia newspaper said, Mr. Baalschnickel makes his appearance dressed in skins-rolled clothes. His face is black. He has a bell, a whip, and a pocket full of cakes or nuts, and either the cakes or the whips are bestowed upon those around. So, okay, well, it was popular for rowdy revelers and partiers to go Baalschnicking, get drunk, vandalize the city, and play pranks.
I've heard that he actually still operates in Pittsburgh now.
Oh, does he?
No, seriously, I was reading about it and said that he's actually, they have brought him back, or he brought himself back.
Good old Baalschnickel, Pittsburgh, the land of the Steelers.
I'm sensing a road trip.
Yes.
Now, before we got on the air, we were discussing the Yule Cat.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something inherently unfair about the Yule Cat, I think, who apparently in Iceland will eat you if you don't receive new clothes.
Right.
So which means someone else is in charge of your fate.
Right. It seems that the Yule Cat, he has a name I'm not going to try to pronounce. In fact, I wrote a song about him. He was also used by farmers to push their workers into processing all their wool before Christmas. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, he would come and eat you. He was the cat of Grýla.
Okay. Yeah.
And who were the 12 Christmas lads?
Right.
The trolls. And he would go around, and this cat would eat kids.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oof.
Well, if all's gone well, David Walton has recorded a song that I wrote the lyrics for, called The Yuletide Cat, based on this pernicious holiday feline.
Okay.
And some other symbols of Christmas, and we're going to play that at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
If all goes well.
I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, it should be okay. I wrote it last night and sent it over to him. Fun little song.
If all goes well.
If all goes well.
If the Befana and Bubashka doesn't get us.
Oh, who are they?
Who are they? Well, in Italy, Russia, and parts of Eastern Europe, we encounter a witch-like lady rooted in the fairy tale figure of Mother Holly. who doles out punishments for the lazy and the riches for the hardworking. So in Italy, she's known as La Befana, and in Russia, Bubashka. Each January, she packs up and sets off on a broomstick to join the three kings who are also seeking the Christ child. And she searches every house. And if she finds a child there, she leaves cookies and gifts behind. So,
Yeah.
that's not too bad.
Well, studying folklore and legends, you hear a lot of...
It's a lot better than being ripped apart in the air.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But you hear a lot of forced Christian undertones.
Right.
Like the going off with the three kings.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find a lot of these legends have been Christianized by the monks who were the ones in charge of writing them down.
Yeah.
At a time when the monks could read and write, which was the great power. Of history, so you'll see a lot of Christian elements forced into these things, and just like Christmas is based on ancient pagan holidays from many different countries and nationalities and cultures, and what we celebrate today is just another evolution of the holiday.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
You're
just
absolutely right.
Just like these legends.
You're absolutely right.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun.
Hope you know that song from David. We are on What Are You Afraid of? Paranormal Show on Parax Radio at Friday nights at 9 p.m. And check out our website for more information about this episode, our large archive of ghost stories, plus information on our guests and Montana Jordan's new show.
Yeah.
And she'll be on.
We'll find out about that, right?
We're getting to know a lot of the Travel Channel people, a lot of the Discovery Channel people over time, and we'll have them on in the future.
Exactly.
In 2020, I've had a lot of guest requests.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up.
That'll be great.
Yeah, we're going to Gettysburg again.
Yeah, when you going?
To do, hopefully we will.
Okay.
When we can go see Mark Nesbitt.
Oh, okay.
And record there. We were talking about that, a sort of crime ghost thing that he's doing.
When does he want to do that?
We'll see.
Okay.
It's all up in the air.
Cool.
I'm going to move and then we'll figure it out.
I've never been to Gettysburg in the winter.
It's fun.
Like dead of winter.
St. Patrick's Day.
I've been to Gettysburg.
It's so much fun.
I've been to Gettysburg probably about 25 times, but I've never been there in the winter. I've always gone in the summer and the fall, but never dead of winter.
Well, I'm going to be an hour away, so come on out.
Yeah, you're right. You're not that far from Gettysburg, right?
Yeah, right. I'm going to be an hour away. That's it. I'm going to be over in Gettysburg a lot.
Yeah, you should. It's not far. It's not far. An hour's not far.
If my wife is dragging me to the middle of nowhere, I'm going to Gettysburg. But
at least you got some nice cafes, right?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, we found the perfect place to live right in the center of the city.
Right. Yeah. That's great. I'm happy for you guys. That's awesome.
A few things worked out.
Great news, yeah.
But before we continue, now I got a box from Jay Duckworth, Professor Duckworth, and I should have him on the extended show. I'm going to talk to him a little bit. He's a wonderful theater man, a great humanitarian, and he's a crafty person. And he sent us the show this box.
I see the box.
This box. And I've not opened it. I was waiting to get on the show to open this. Please don't mind the noise. I'll put some Christmas
What's
music
in the box?
That's fun.
I just like to say in advance that it has been nice working with you. I've enjoyed my time.
Yeah, there's literally a box sitting right in front of us, and it's ticking. And it's unopened. Yeah, I think there's some kind of a ticking.
Do you guys not watch movies?
Well,
this is a terrible idea.
Mr. Foster, I sent you a box too from him. It's under your desk right now, so
shoot.
We're gonna open it together. Here we go. Opening the panel.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
I'm going to be putting pictures of this up.
Oh wow.
He sent us complimentary to the show. Don't mind the noise. I'm putting some Christmas jingling or something.
Jingling and jangling.
It's a Krampus stocking.
Look
at
that.
Oh, it's got fur on it. And
really nice.
Everything. Look at that.
Wow.
It's a black stocking.
It's an S&M Krampus stocking. It's
really,
like leather.
Yes, it is.
It's like a leather
It's got a little horn, like a pair of stilettos. And
that all seems very thematically correct considering what we were just discussing.
Yes. It's even got a cowbell.
More cowbell.
More cowbell. Let's see. Well, that is one of the pictures of that on the show, and plus links where you can get one of these too.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
At www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com. Let's see what else is in the box here. Okay, well, I'll just move the die. Oh,
yeah, that's not the only thing. There's more.
Ticking candles. That's fun.
Ticking candles.
Okay, so these
are the candles ticking?
Oh my god, these are hand solve, bear paw hand solve from Professor Duckworth. His Etsy shop, which will have links up on the website. Let's have a smell at this.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Smells like pine and...
That smells good.
Oh my word, this is wonderful. Let's see what else we got in here. Christmas gifts online.
Bear paw hand solve.
Okay, these are the cookie cutters. There's a Krampus cookie cutter.
Oh.
an evil Krampus face, evil Santa face with bulging eyes. Oh, and look at this, a pagan star cookie cutter.
That's great. Oh, there you go. Okay.
This is wonderful. I'm going to be using... He sent us sinus lip balm and some herbal packets. Let's see here. This is the Salt Scrub Full Moon Ritual.
Ooh.
He's very pagan.
Cool. Oh, yeah, I can tell.
Well,
that's cool, though.
Hopefully we will talk to him in a bit. I plan to interview him next week and put him on the extended show, which you can find on www.whatareyoufraidofpodcast.com. So we are going to pause now to play a story written by Mr. Foster, which we're very lucky to have. In fact, when he said it was available, it's one of the reasons that I pushed forward the show.
Right.
Just to get this wonderful story that he's written. Linda Jones records this for us. This is Yule Wine by John Foster on What Are You Afraid of Horror and Paranormal Show. Episode 132, Yuletide Monsters. We'll be right back.
Yule Wine by John C. Foster. This is too much fuss for one person. There were supposed to be 3 of you, but I don't mind. Allows more time to palaver. The bus from Putnam House Retirement Village had dropped Edith off a short time before, the electric lift lowering her wheelchair to the shoveled driveway of the tree farmer's cabin, a small wooden structure wearing a white cap of snow, beside which a hand-painted sign proclaimed "Best Trees in the County." Beyond the cabin was the white bulge of a hill where the tree farmer's pride and joy grew in neat rows. Towering spruces and smaller green firs, perfect for grand halls and living rooms alike. If you're sure... Of course I'm sure, dear. The tree farmer, call me odd, was broad of shoulder and narrow of hip, wearing a red-checked plaid shirt and suspenders. His gray beard was tied into 2 forks to keep it out of the way. And while he was nowhere near her own 78 years, he was no spring chicken. "How do you grow such fine trees?" she asked when they were inside the cabin, where the warm scents of mulled wine and cedar logs wove an invisible poem. "Best trees in the county. I never cut until day after the first snow. That's tomorrow. And I feed..." Edith's hearing aid shrieked feedback, and she raised a trembling hand to her ear. "What was that?" "Yule wine," Odd said with a wink, turning to the steaming pot on the stove. "Speaking of which, we have time for a snort before the children arrive." "Oh, I couldn't." "You wouldn't be cruel enough to make me celebrate alone, would you? Not at Christmas." She blushed. "If you put it that way." "You'll never get my chair up there," Edith said when he pushed her wheelchair out onto the back porch and looked up the slope to the distant Christmas trees. The cold was already seeping through her coat, and she missed the spice and cedar scents from inside the cabin. "Right you are," Odd said, hopping down into the shin-deep snow and high-stepping to a woodpile hidden beneath a snowy tarp. He yanked the tarp aside with a magician's flourish, and she saw that it wasn't a woodpile at all. "It's a sleigh, an honest-to-God sleigh." And it was. An honest-to-God sleigh made of ancient brown wood, carved front to back with ornate calligraphy. "Your chariot awaits, Edith." "But how—" He was at her side in a moment, reaching down to lift her. "Oh, no." She pulled back. "You can trust me." His eyes twinkled with merriment, and she nodded, resigned to the discomfort and embarrassment of transfer, surprised that she could still worry about such things after years of orderlies helping her from chair to bed, chair to toilet, her privacy gone, her personal space open to any stranger. He lifted her as if she were a little girl again, as light as a feather in his arms. She braced herself for a pain that never came as he carried her to the sleigh and set her on the bench beside a bundle of tools. "Sip this if you get cold," he told her, placing a warm thermos of Yule wine in her hands and tidying her scarf. "Where are your horses?" "We have to hurry if you're to choose your tree before the children arrive." He kicked through the snow to the front of the sleigh and threw the long ropes over his shoulder. On Donder, on Blitzen. The sleigh jerked beneath Edith, gliding over the snow in the tree farmer's wake. Oh, my glory! A spray of dancing stars adorned the dark sky above, and the air was alive with night. Edith congratulated herself on coming. When she'd learned she was the only one signed up for the field trip, Ellis Lang had a chest cold and Clara Beats hurt her foot, Edith had almost bowed out herself. But she hadn't bowed out, had she? And now she was taking a sleigh ride beneath the stars. Great clouds of breath steamed from Odd's mouth, and he snorted like a horse as he pulled. "Give us a song," he called back. Edith's laughter rang out high and bright, and she filled her lungs to sing. God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day. Breaking into a jog, Odd dragged the sleigh into the first row of trees, the smaller Douglas and noble firs. The wind of their passage shook white bursts of powder from green boughs, and Edith grinned at the wet sting of snowflakes on her cheeks. "Oh, stop, stop," she cried, and he staggered to a halt, planting his hands on his knees. "You'll give yourself a coronary." "Nonsense. Just give me a moment to get my wind back." "Be that as it may, these trees are lovely. Let's stop here and pick one." "These?" Odd swept out his arms, and only then did she realize how tall he was, easily a head taller than any tree in the row. "You need a big tree for the front room at Putnam House." "We call it the sunroom." "Yes, yes." He pointed up the hill. "Further up I have 10-footers, perfect for your sunroom." "If you're sure." "Mush, mush." The sleigh moved with a jerk, and she gripped the bench to maintain a perch grown suddenly precarious. The sleigh tilted by degrees as they careened across the slope, the left side much higher than the right, and she felt herself sliding. "Save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray," he bellowed. "Come on, Edith, sing." "Tidings of comfort and joy." The song was strangled in her throat as the sleigh turned and Odd pulled her straight uphill. She felt herself tipping back and back, and they were level again, racing between rows of mighty spruces, glorious firs big enough for a palace. He was sprinting flat out, the sleigh flying over the snow in his wake. How he could move so fast Edith couldn't understand, and her heart stuttered. "Stop! Stop! Stop!" she managed to shout. The tree farmer skidded to a halt, hurling up a great wash of silver flakes. His ruddy cheeks glowed above a beard white with snow, and his eyebrows had sprouted icicles. "Is this the one?" Odd bellowed. "What?" Edith pressed a fluttering hand to her chest, struggling to slow her heart rate. She opened her mouth to say she wanted to go back to Putnam House right that very minute, but her eyes flicked in the direction of his sweeping hand, and she beheld the most wonderful tree. A perfect tree, tall and straight, with a healthy width of boughs near the bottom, its needles thick and soft, a beautiful blend of blue and green that combined the joy of Caribbean seas with the comforting perfection of evergreens. "Oh, yes, that's it," Edith said, consumed with childish wonder. "That's the most beautiful tree I've ever seen." "It is a beautiful tree, but is it your tree?" He leaned into the sleigh and unfastened the bundle of tools to retrieve a long-handled axe. "Is it your tree?" "Yes, it is, though it seems a shame to cut it down." Odd held the axe beneath one arm and rubbed his hands together for warmth, nodding in agreement. "I won't cut down any trees until the day after the first snow. That's tomorrow." He cocked his head. "I hear an engine." The children are on their way." He took the axe in both hands and smiled. "We'll have to hurry." "What?" A great spray of blood arced up from the juncture of Edith's head and shoulder, and she was surprised to find the axe lodged there. The tree farmer tugged the axe free, timing her fall as he would a toppling redwood before swinging the axe in a flat arc to lop off her head. He aimed the stump of Edith's neck towards the tree and bathed it in her bright claret until the crimson wash covered the white snow around the trunk like a bright red tree skirt. When Edith could give no more, he pulled her from the sleigh and left her in a heap to be buried by the next storm. Handfuls of snow made short work of the blood splashed over the side of the sleigh, and he was soon trotting back down to the cabin. The tree farmer stood in front of the yellow school bus with "Barnstable Boys Home" stenciled on the side. He handed the driver a white envelope, and Jimmy thought it must contain a Christmas card. The bus lurched down the driveway in a cloud of smoke, and the bearded tree farmer crouched to bring his head on a level with Jimmy. "Ready to pick your Christmas tree?" "There were supposed to be more of us," Jimmy said, hands squirming together. The tree farmer took Jimmy's hands in his own, and the boy felt a reassuring warmth. "That's okay," he said. "Gives us more time to palaver." Jimmy smiled, and odd the Christmas tree farmer nodded. "I made a batch of cookies. You won't make me eat them alone, will you?" Jimmy's grin widened, and Odd stood, towering over the boy. "Good man," he said. "After the cookies, I'll take you up on the hill yonder to see the best Christmas trees in the county." "I can pick my very own tree?" "You can pick your very own."
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Mercy, a new horror medical thriller from author T. Fox Dunham, published by Bloodbound Books. Based on the author's horrific battle with a rare form of lymphoma that involved intense chemotherapy and radiation, Fox turns the horror of his experience into terror on the page.
William Saint is dying of cancer. On most days, death seems like a humane alternative to the treatment. Stricken with fever, William is rushed to Mercy, notorious as a place to send the sickest of the poor and uninsured to be forgotten, and finds the hospital in even worse condition than his previous visit.
Willie's memories faded. He grabbed his sack head, the sack head of the scarecrow, picking at the exposed chicken wire to hold them in. However, the memories fell out of the holes in his face. They wormed and crawled from the leather flesh and the old clothing of the scarecrow, then squirmed and wiggled down his body.
The grounds are unkempt, the foundation is cracking, and like the wild mushrooms sprouting from the fissures of decay around it, something is growing inside the hospital. Something dark.
Fangoria gives Mercy 3.5 out of 4 skulls. Dunham has channeled his many brushes with the other side into the exquisitely rendered, lyrical, supernatural hospital thriller Mercy.
It's feeding on the sickness and sustaining itself on the staff, changing them, and now it wants Willie.
Come now, Mr. Saint. Just a little more of that sweet milk. So salty and so good. You won't miss it. And we ever do so like our delicacies here at Mercy Hospital.
Part medical horror, part supernatural suspense, Mercy is a hard-hitting fever dream of a novel. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Tim Wagner, author of The Way of All Flesh and Eat the Night. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and bookstores everywhere in both print and digital versions.
Life is an addiction.
Let go. Let it all burn. We're back on What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show. It's episode 132. Yes, 132 wonderful episodes. And we're back for our special Yuletide Monsters episode. We did a Christmas episode this year, and we've always done one before, and it's really great because we've been talking to some old friends like John Foster. Of course, Phil Thomas was with me, and we've made a new friend this year. We shared a Facebook post about his Krampus and pagan creations along with a Krampus stocking, and he was kind enough to send us a sampling of his goods from his Etsy store, which you can find up on our website at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com, and they were just so fun and interesting. We had to have him come on the show to tell us about his stuff. His name is Jay Duckworth, Professor Jay Duckworth. He boasts over 20 years' experience in LORT and off-Broadway theater, independent films, TV, music videos, and over 65 off-Broadway shows credit his name as a props master and props designer. The roll call of shows for which he has created original work starts in classic Greek theater, reimagined Shakespeare plays, as well as being part of the artistic team that created musicals, including Hamilton, Fun Home, Bloody Andrew Jackson, and the highly controversial Julius Caesar at Shakespeare in the Park 2017. At his decade residency at the Public Theater, as well as being a writer for Stage Directions magazine, he teaches properties and the philosophy of aesthetics at Pace University. He has been the keynote speaker for the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival and the United States Institute of Theater Technology, curating USIT's very first prop lab in 2018. Hello, Professor Duckworth. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing really well. How's everything down there, T-Fox?
Fantastic. We are just about moved in. We're decorating our tree tonight, and I have chicken and dumplings cooking in the slow cooker.
That sounds really good, and I wish I was there actually to have some. Sorry about the background noise. We're backstage. We just finished a run for tech for our freshman class, so that's what you're hearing in behind me.
And which stage is that?
This is up at the Schimmel.
Fantastic. It sounds like you're having a great time down there, and thank you for speaking to us. Now, you sent us a wonderful box of curious goods this holiday. In fact, I kept the box sealed. You know, it's been a chaotic time in my life as we've been transitioning for 2020. So what I did was I kept the box sealed until we recorded episode 132 with John Foster, and then I opened it on the air so that we could see what was in it, what magical treats were in this great box. Do you want to tell us about some of the things you sent us?
Well, I heard that you did a couple of the podcasts, which are really cool, by the way, which is like I fell in love with as well.
Thank you.
The thing that I really dug is that you cook, and you also are a pagan. And what I had just made was my first pentagram cookie cutters, and that was actually for a person down at Disney who was like, you know what, I'd really love. And then I heard also you guys did a Krampus podcast, and I already had the Krampus cookie cutters. And when you shared it, I thought, after I heard the two Krampus ones, I thought I had to definitely send you some stuff out so you could check it out.
Oh, it's wonderful. We opened it up, and the first thing that came out was this black leather stocking with a white fluffy top to it, and it was so incredible to hold in our hands. It feels really good.
The thing I had to put on them was the bells too, because that's one thing that you hear in Europe, which is wild in the dark. When Krampus night happens, the first thing you really hear is the bells coming at you, and it's just so weird. So that's why the bells had to go on stocking.
And when you hear us opening the box, you hear the cowbells going. You know?
Yeah, I never silenced it, so people were like, "What the hell is this?"
It was a lot of fun. So you have your own Etsy store. What's the address of that Etsy store where people can find your stuff?
Professor Duckworth with an S. And because they wouldn't let me apostrophize the S. So it's Prof. Duckworth.
And you can find links up at our website at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com, where you can also find our archive of ghost stories, all 132 episodes, articles, and neat links to our guests like Mr. Duckworth. And I look forward to making some sugar cookies with your cookie cutters. I never got a chance to today, but I even bought the icing so that I can color it. I got like blue, black, and red. I'm going to have these blue, black, and red Krampus cookies.
Oh, that's great. Well, another thing that I did is poppy seeds, so that the base is nice and dark, and then I use those just red sprinkles for the eyes, which is kind of fun. I started the store, crazy enough, spinning wool, because there was a friend of mine who had a farm, and I went down to the farm to volunteer to help out with the sheep. And my payment was a a full sheep's worth of wool. And so I cleaned it, carded it, and it was so meditative. And I also learned to knit off of that I wanted to share some of the wool that I made, some of the yarn that I made with people who are also historic reenactors, because you can't get that look without hand spinning it. So I started offering up that, and then the wool, and then I started offering up things that I made out of leather, which happened because a leather store closed out here in Queens, New York. And so what I did is they gave me a bunch of it. So I learned how to do leather, and that's when I started doing like the stockings and eye patches, like pirate eye patches and things like that. And then I started getting into spellcraft. I'm actually going down to speak at North Carolina School of the Arts on the subject of folklore and spell work and how it works in theater.
Oh, that sounds fascinating. I hope to hear more about that. And it's funny, you might be speaking to one of the few people who have actually done sheep shearing and working with wool.
Oh, you're kidding me!
As an historic reenactor, I volunteered and worked at a place called Pennsbury Manor, which was the historic home of William Penn, the founder of Pennsylvania on the Delaware River. And we had a sheep shearing day, and one of the things we did was sheared the sheep and, carded the wool and spun it into various creations. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
So did you spin it in the grease? You didn't scour it. You just spinned it right off the sheep.
Well, I got to tell you, yeah, exactly. We just
That's amazing.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's tough, but a lot of people do that because that's what prevents rain from getting in, and a lot of South American people do that. So the lanolin stays in when they make a sweater, and then you have a waterproof sweater.
One of my favorite things about working there and in other historical sites was the cooking. Uh-huh. You just can't get that kind of cooking today, and the spices and the herbs are so different because you're using what they had available in the colonies, and it's just such a very different flavor, so rich and powerful.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the other thing about what you're talking about is pulling your things from the garden. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a whole section that's your pharmacy.
Right, and that's what we have.
So having those things fresh and being able to when it is winter, you're gonna add those different spices into things because it supposedly prevents colds, or it's supposedly gonna be like oranges representing the sun. That's why because it's supposed to be very good for healing colds, and then we find out that vitamin C is in it.
Such as walnuts being used for headaches because they look like brains.
Exactly. What's that called? That's a whole science, from the Greeks. The like heals like.
That was my speciality, was historic medicine.
You're kidding me.
Now, that's what I did. Gowland's theory, bloodletting. You had the three kinds of healers in America. You had the doctors, you had surgeons, and then you had the wise women who worked with the herbs and knew how to cure things. And I did that for years.
The cunning folk were also really good at not only healing, but also just as psychiatrists, talking things out and working with people. And even if their spells didn't work, it gave the people ease of mind.
Indeed.
Well, we totally strayed off the subject. I'm really sorry. But that takes us back to Yule, when people are bringing those things into their homes, like the greenery and holly and these things that stay through the cold months, let people know that life continues.
Have you ever made pomander balls?
I have. I have. I don't sell them in my store, but I do. Right now, I am just bulking up on oranges and orange peels, because this is the time of year that you can get them and clean, but they go in everything. I make my own incense, and I include those in orders. I'll put a little bag with citrine and then some sage and a little Palo Alto, and one of the incense that I made, one of the cone incense I've made. So that just people have some, it's just an extra thing, but it's kind of nice to pass along to folks.
I made a couple of pomanders last year. And of course, they were still in the orange form. Then I put them in a paper bag and put them up in the closet. I can't wait to break them out in a few days. And of course, these things were used to cure or to prevent diseases such as malaria, because they believed that it came from bad smells or foul air, like the term malaria, just as malaria. So
didn't they hang meat in London, and wherever the meat rotted quicker,
right?
That's where they knew, like you said, malaria or the diseases would happen.
Mm-hmm. Right. That was a medical theory that started getting ground as we stopped using the humoral theory, of course, from Galen, and you had people like Benjamin Rush, who was Surgeon General of the Army.
Oh my God, yeah.
And he was working with the concepts of putrefaction, diseases coming from places like rotting meat or foul swamps, and of course that starts leading the empirical theory of medicine towards the sources of disease.
Which is germ theory, which is the next thing that popped up.
Mm-hmm.
I could talk to you all day. This is I'm so sorry.
Let's talk about how you get ready for Yule. How would you cleanse a house?
We just had the full moon. So what I do is I go from back to front, up to down with sage, and wash down frames of all the doors with lemon. I cut a lemon in half and then slice through it. I wash everything down with lemon, and then the black salt right across the front doorway and right across the back. Just mostly symbolic because it's Queens, New York. You know, I got neighbors upstairs and everything.
I've been thinking about doing a saging, a smudging in our new flat, our wonderful new flat in Lancaster. But I'm also scared of stirring up anything sleeping in the foundation.
I would at least do it to let the things know you're there, to let to let yourself be known.
Okay.
I think you'd rather know that way up front than wait too long.
That's a very good point, yeah. These stories always begin usually with some sort of supernatural or magical element, either like, say, a Ouija board or a cleansing or something like that. And like it's true. And
yeah.
As we've studied and talked to people, a lot of these ghost experiences, hauntings, sort of go dormant, kind of like sinking into the mud. And then they do something or activate something, and it wakes it all back up again. So yeah, I've been weighing the possibility that I don't want to wake anything up here. I slept here.
Well, the thing that does that, the thing that wakes them, what do you see as the common denominator in that, though?
The attempts to communicate with the dead are the things that usually wake them up.
And fear.
And fear, yeah.
So once that big moment of fear happens, I mean, that's what feel malevolent spirits is. As soon as they smell that, that kind of like stirs.
I slept here for a couple of nights without my wife because I came up early to start unpacking boxes, which she's very grateful for because we had quite a few boxes. And I was afraid, because I remember listening to all these ghost stories that people tell us. I was afraid I was going to wake up at like 3 a.m. to see a figure standing over me or something. And so I was a little unnerved, yeah.
Or a shadow out of the corner of your eyes because you don't know.
Yeah, that equivocalness that you just don't know what kind of haunting it's going to be. And it triggers a flight or fight response in us.
Yeah.
One more question for you, Professor Duckworth. How do you celebrate Yule?
This is so ridiculous. We take apples and we carve the faces into them. And then we hang them and they will become those withered faces. So they go from maiden to crone. And then at Yule, what we do is we find a place in the yard and we bury our worries from that year with a crone to take care of them. And then that's the big thing. And then we have a fire outside. Sit back, and I drink hot cider because I don't drink anymore. Everybody else drinks either wine or spiced wine. We talk about things for the next year, and we celebrate the things that we came to and the things that we overcame, and then we let go of the things that no longer serve us.
And you do that with friends and family. I love that. That's a great way to celebrate the turning of the year. Because, of course, the pagan system sees the year as a cycle of life, and we are about to be born again.
Exactly. Exactly. And the sun, S-U-N, it gets reborn. So it's the S-U-N-S-O-N type thing. There's a lot of wonderful things out there that people don't even... Well, I know a lot of us associate. But how about you? What's your big Yule thing?
We got our tree this year, which was very difficult for us, but we got it in yesterday. And
nice.
I'm going to be baking trays and trays of cookies. Probably not as many this year, but I'll be doing a cleansing like I like to do, and I'll do the pomander balls. And hopefully I can do it this year. I'll get juniper, the pine, the greens, the holly, the herbs, and I will create them into various flowering displays with red ribbon and such, and hang the pomander balls. And I just love the smells of pine and the scent of baking cookies. And of course I make a big lasagna. I don't know if I'm doing that this year, probably a smaller lasagna. And it's a little more traditional, but again, it's also like you were saying about cleansing, and I'll take the time to decide on my writing projects for the next year.
For the year?
Yeah,
nice.
For the next year, what I intend to try to do. Like you were saying, it's about renewal, and this year is very much about starting again, as my wife finished grad school at UNC, and she has a new job here in Lancaster, and we just moved, so we're beginning again.
Great time to do it, because you can leave all those things behind. Did you get a new broom for the house?
We will soon, yes.
Good. You did not take the old broom with you, right?
No, we did not. Exactly.
That's so great. That is so great. Very cool.
Professor Duckworth, it has been a pleasure speaking to you, and we can't wait to have you back to talk about your work in theater and film. And your website can be found at our website at www.whatareyourafraidofpodcast.com, where you can find all of our previous episodes, our archive of ghost stories, an episode page for every episode we've ever done, 132. I keep them up. And you can find links to all your wonderful stuff. You can get it next year, you can get it this year. I'm sure we'll be adding more to it, plus links to you. And I believe your website is www.proptologist.com, where Stephen Sondheim seems to be taking out a restraining order against you, from what I...
A little bit, but he still loves me. No,
yeah.
Like a
right,
dog.
Exactly. So, I mean, if you're going to stalk somebody, choose someone big.
Exactly. Well, thank you very, very much for having me on, and thank you for what you guys are doing, because it's so important and it's so entertaining.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. Now, we have a special treat tonight. Our English folk singer, David Walton, I wrote a song about some of the monsters of Christmas and how they get ignored, where we focused on the Yuletide cat in Icelandic history. He eats children, essentially. He's the house pet of trolls. And I wrote the lyrics, and David Walton has done an incredible job arranging the music and performing it, and we are going to play that right now. It's a new Yule holiday carol classic on What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show. This is David Walton performing the Yuletide Cat of Iceland.
In Iceland during Christmas there roams a monstrous cat that kills kids who shirk hard work, then leaves them on the mat. Off you Krampus go and sing, don't forget bells nickel too, but when you close on Christmas Day, or you like the during will devour you. The Yule cat is huge and vicious, the house pets of Grýla and trolls. Woe how it clothes kids without new clothes, and purrs when it chews on their bones and souls. Of your Krampus go and sing, don't forget bells nickel too, but when you close on Christmas Day, or you like the jury will devour you. Svarta Pete is a racist image, and poor kids get no gifts from Santa Claus. But let me opine that worse is a feline that slaughters lazy kids with its claws. Of you Krampus go and sing, don't forget bells nickel too, but when you close on Christmas Day, or you like the jury will devour you.
This is Chuck Zukowski from Travel Channel's show Alien Highway, and you're listening to What Are You Afraid Of? Horror and Paranormal Show with hosts T. Fox Dunham and Phil Thomas on Para X Radio. And, wait a minute, my meter's going off. It's a high ESD field somewhere. That only goes off when there's aliens. I knew it! Phil and Fox are aliens! Let's get out of here!
Para X.
It's What Are You Afraid Of? Holiday special with Phil and Fox and John and the Krampus.
I'm not singing.
Oh, see, that's it. I'm taking your box away now.
By the way, I loved that short story.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was
pithy.
Yeah, it was pithy.
It was really pithy.
Yes, that's
yeah,
probably the best way to describe it.
And you just know something's going to happen to the old lady.
I know. Yeah. I wasn't sure though.
Yeah.
Like I got about halfway through, and I'm like, there might be something happening to her, but I'm not sure.
You didn't know who was going to do what to whom.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know?
It was an exercise in restraint for me, even though it's a very short piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, restraint up until something happens.
Right, exactly. There you go, because it's just a wonderful little tale.
And the old man,
Odd.
Yeah, Odd, who takes her out in the sleigh to the Christmas trees.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting the impression, and I'm probably wrong, that he was kind of like a demented Santa Claus.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I was getting, because he was. Has like the beard.
Yeah.
There's. You said we're separated, forked out. And
I was thinking back to sort of earlier iterations of Santa Claus and where our modern day cherub comes from, and Odd may or may not be a nod to Odin or something like that.
Oh, that's fun. Odin, Odd.
Yeah.
Got a little gods going there.
Yeah.
Revenge of the ancient gods who have been pretty much forgotten.
Yeah.
By our commercial Yuletide season.
That's right. Yeah. It was a wonderful story.
It was a fun little story.
And he takes her head right off.
He does.
He does.
Yeah, and it was surprising too. You felt her surprise when it happened.
Yeah, and then Jimmy, who arrives on the school bus, he's going to get it too. So
yeah.
Oh, Jimmy.
Poor Jimmy.
Poor Jimmy.
And I noticed these field trips. There's only one person on them. So,
yeah.
I know. And that envelope that he hands to the driver.
Right. Yeah, the envelope. Yeah. Wait, what's in the envelope? I'm curious.
Yeah. Right.
Is it payment? Or are they in on it?
It might be some money. Yes.
Yeah, some money. Yeah, exactly. Okay. He's in on it. Nice. It was well done. Very good job.
Thank you.
But it's been a fun episode.
It has.
And it's been great having John back. I'm sure we'll do it again next year.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
When this show premieres, we will probably be, after a few days, at our 200,000 yeah, downloaded epised.
Wow. Okay, I thought you were gonna.
No, 200,000.
No,
I don't know what you're talking about, Phil, but it was. I was just glad you were excited.
I thought you were going to say our 200,000th episode. I thought you said it wrong, because I was going to say if we did 200, wow, that would be quite a milestone.
Sure feels like it.
You'd be very, very old.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
We're not even at 200 yet, but
that's okay. In that episode, they can youthen my face up like Robert De Niro, so I can look like this weird homunculus. And Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci wasn't that bad because his eyes are usually bulging out anyway.
They are anyway, yeah.
But
But no, that's 200,000 downloads. That's great. That is.
Yeah,
that's
everything's shooting up. The
wonderful.
Website downloads are going up. We're getting days where we're getting 800-900 downloads on a single day just from that, plus our Parax radio.
That's great.
And we got some.
It's not even counting Parax.
Yeah, and
I remember when you started, and this was so much more of an experiment.
Yeah. The 4 episodes.
We're only supposed to do 4, right?
Yeah.
And turn it over 100.
Turn it over 100, and we are going places. We've gotten a lot of free stuff out of this.
We have.
Like this wonderful box from Professor J. Duckworth. We'll have more information about his Etsy store, where you can get this at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com. Thank you so much for sending it in.
Yes, it's great.
Well, Phil, I guess it's that time.
And what time is that, Fox?
Time to end the show.
Oh no, say it's not so.
It is so. Only for now.
Okay.
Because every time we sing, I die. No, sorry. I can't get anyone else to sing. No.
Well, I'll sing. I'll sing another episode.
Okay.
I'll do like a 5-minute piece.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I'll scare all the listeners away.
No. You can find more information about that at our website at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com with more information about every episode, our archive of ghost stories, guests, and information about Montana Jordan's new show. Congratulations to her.
Congrats, that's great.
John, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me on, and I wish you both happy holidays, happy Yule, and a happy New Year.
Thank you, too.
And same to you,
Same
sir.
to you, yes.
We will be back probably in January.
Yeah.
With episode 133.
Yes, we will. This is our Christmas episode.
Right.
Yeah.
I am T. Fox Dunham.
And I'm Phil Thomas.
The first thing you really hear is the bell coming at you, and it's just so weird.
T. Fox Dunham lives in Philadelphia with his wife, Allison. He's a lymphoma survivor, cancer patient, modern bard and historian. His first book, The Street Martyr, was published by Gutter Books. A television series based on the book is being produced by Throughline Films. Destroying the Tangible Illusion of Reality or Searching for Andy Kaufman, a book about what it's like to be dying of cancer, was released from Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing, and Fox's story in the Stargate anthology Points of Origin from MGM and Fandemonium Books. Fox is an active member of the Horror Writers Association, and he's had published hundreds of short stories and articles. His motto is Wrecking Civilization, one story at a time. Find out more information at www.tfoxdunham.com.
Phil Thomas is an author and screenwriter from the suburbs of Philadelphia. His screenplays have been produced into 2 feature films, False Face and Always from Darkness, and are available in major retailers such as Best Buy and Target, as well as availability on Netflix and Amazon Prime on demand. His screenplay, 3 Tunnels, was a semi-finalist at the LA Screenplay Competition. He is a member of the International Association of Professional Writers and Editors, and he currently writes for Cultured Vultures, Game Skinny, and BloodyDisgusting.com. He formerly held the position of Senior Marketing Manager at Eternal Press, and was a journalist for Patch, where he wrote a daily tech column covering the latest electronics and gadgets. He lives in the suburbs of Philadelphia, and is currently working on his second novel, Worst Afterlife Ever.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.